Hello, listeners in the cursed apple. Welcome back to Dead Air, the radio show that comes to you every week on a Sunday, Saturday, one of the weekend days. It's me and Blank here for episode 4. We've got some things to talk about. How you doing, Blank? You're on the road right now. You're not at home.
Yeah, it's like the half on the road edition, where Blank is in a small hotel room with a terrible mic, and you are with the high grade production quality, which is nice. It's not as
Yeah, it's
bad.
good. You get a bit of a 50-50.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, it all started from recording on one phone on an ironing board.
Oh, dude.
So it's
Those
probably
are
slightly better than that.
those are good times. Those are some hella good times. I enjoyed that. I remember when you try to set it up, fell over about a bajillion times.
Set it up again, it fell over again.
Yeah, painful on the ironing board. But all in all, it was a banger. It was a true banger. Yeah, that's like what it
It
would
was
be
good.
if we get like an office for Dead Air at some point, and I have to fly out. Which doesn't sound great, but I would do it for
Fly
you.
every weekend. We'll meet in the middle. We do it in the water
The sea.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Marsh,
in
yeah.
the sea.
It's like pirate radio.
Yeah,
It's just
international pirates. Yeah, with the radio
yeah.
on. That'd be
We
good.
do drum and bass the whole week, and
Yeah.
then us on a
Yeah.
weekend. It's
Wait.
just 2 hours.
What was that thing that there was like might have been a BBC thing, but they literally went out on the water to
Right.
play this radio show, this radio channel, and people would listen to it. I think it was like in the 80s or 70s or something. Let me look that up really quick. Jamie, pull that up.
Floating radio show.
Floating radio. Oh, what the hell? I'm on Yahoo search. That's not right.
Floating radio show.
Show 70s/80s.
I've got one here saying that there used to be a floating radio station that was on the Ohio River called WNOP.
That's the one. That's the one. Because they had to do it there so they didn't get shut down.
It used to be known as the Jazz Arc, and it kept on playing jazz until around the year 2000, and since then it's been a Catholic radio channel.
Nah, that's not the one. Damn,
No?
that's so annoying. Like it was like rock music on the water. On the
It's pretty
water
accurate, pretty on
boat.
brand. Yeah, rocks on the
Oh,
water.
this is really problematic for me. Oh,
Yeah, I mean that's the only one that comes up, bro. There's nothing.
no way. There was a whole film about it.
Floating radio station.
The
maybe?
boat
Let me try
the
that.
boat that rocked. Here we go. Is a movie. I think it was based on a.
Is it based on a real?
Oh, bro, I might have just been psyched out by a movie.
Have you just invented a fake storyline based on a movie plot?
Maybe. Let me. Is there? I'm so sorry.
Well, that's not ideal. Is it,
Please
mate?
don't say it's based on a fictional story. I'm on the Wikipedia. The Boat That Rocked is a 2009 comedy drama film. Fictional pirate radio rock. Oh, anyway, great movie.
You fumbled the bag.
I've goofed you all there. You
You
thought I was.
really fumbled it.
I thought I was doing a good one, but we could do a radio rock ensemble type deal.
Radio rock.
The Boat That Rocked. The boat that aired the dead. How's that? You like that? That's kind of good.
The dead boat. I mean, yeah, I guess, dude. Like,
Yeah,
it'd be like a ghost ship type situation.
that would be
kinda
cool.
good.
Yeah, we jazz it up a little
Pirate
bit.
radio classic.
Yeah, like some
Maybe there's something in there. We could do something with that.
like spooky hot. I'd love to record one of these on like a very
What a barge.
cheap yacht, aka rowboat.
The rowboat. I didn't know if that's gonna. Is that gonna work? Like,
I
just
don't know.
Rowing and podding.
Yes, pod the casting.
pod boat.
The pod boat.
Now this is pod boating.
pod boating. Oh, that would be mint. Yeah, I'd love that.
Some serious pod boat in here today.
Right, anyway, I'm sorry I goofed everyone. I've been
God's
fat. That's
sake.
fake news. I've done fake news. Damn. That really sucks. Oh well. Anyway,
Okay.
there's your classic segment, intro to Dead Air.
No, that's good. That's good. It's also because I had to check my browser. I've realised I haven't even done my agent tweet for the day, actually. So I'm just throwing one out. That was pretty good timing. That could have been.
That's good. You
No,
like
it's 11 p.m. It would have been hellish, mate.
I would have been bad. I look at
Yeah.
this. I'm in the Riyadh doing the podcast, and we're making it happen whilst you're doing a little agent tweet. Look at it.
Social
Look at
media.
us.
Yeah, I've tweeted it out. It gets done.
Sweet.
Saved myself. Still had an hour of safety. So
Yeah.
good.
What was the premise?
For today's tweet,
Yeah.
it's a clip from Blast. I'm currently commentating the Blast showdown for Counter Strike,
Oh,
and
that's
we
cool,
had
bro.
a player that slipped off of the map basically on vertigo. He
Was
tried
that
to
through
do
the
jump.
smoke?
No, he just tried to do the jump to get back on site, right? But
Right.
he's just fucked it.
Oh, it's
He just
proper mucks it up.
fell off.
Yeah.
He's died. But Blast owned it with the replay. Basically, they immediately had the replay for as soon as the round ended.
Yeah.
Put a black and white filter on it. Sad music.
The little raindrops on the screen as well.
Right, so good. So it's just me, just being like, who would put a banana peel in front of this man? I'm just doing like a movie trailer.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it.
Went down a treat. So I've tweeted that out. So I
Yeah.
just posted that.
That's beautiful.
Just as the agent tweet for the day. But yeah, so me and Blank are both working on separate things right now. I'm at home though, so it's not too bad. The movie magic still works.
Yeah. I'm currently doing AWC, which is it's sort of a podcast in itself. It's like just go on, talk about 3 games that I have no clue about at all, and I kind of have to do it. I actually got really into Tekken, dude. So
I saw
good,
you were enjoying a bit of Tekken.
so good. Yeah, I challenged Quickshot to a game. I had the option select though, because he beat me on the easy mode, but I got perfect round off him.
I
No
saw
easy
your
mode.
perfect. It was quite nice. You had some good combos actually.
Yeah.
What you were doing.
It really did look cool.
doing.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
did. I feel like the
was
second half of the
nice.
combo was absolutely accidental, but
I mean, you made it work.
but the first half was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the challenge mode. Anyway, this is a lot about different games, but yeah, we are here for Deadlock.
It's the Deadlock adjacent.
Deadlock
episodes,
adjacent,
right?
yeah.
Remember we always said the off big patch weeks would be
Yeah.
somewhat Deadlock adjacent.
Somewhat deadlocky, yeah. But actually, you know what is
yeah.
crazy is
Go on.
we downstairs we got this talent lounge, and
Right.
for all the goofballs that are us, it's like tons of PCs. And the amount of times I've seen people playing Deadlock down there is pretty wild. Pretty wild. Yeah.
Public deadlocking.
Public deadlocking, very
Well,
naughty.
private public deadlocking.
It's very naughty. Very,
That
very
is a bit
naughty.
cheeky.
Um,
God.
But they're all loving it, and I actually got to introduce some of the PUBG guys to Deadlock, and they were big fans. Big fans. They've been playing every night. I think actually, depending on the time, it's just gone midnight. I think they'll be finishing their show soon, and they will come back and play till like
Straight
2
on
a.m.
Deadlock.
Yeah, I'm not even
It's
joking.
addictive, bro. It's addictive.
Yeah.
People love it. Like, especially, it is one of those games where I think that first month or first couple weeks when
Yeah.
you get in,
Oh, it's hard to put it down.
You can't sleep. You're looking at the items, especially when we started, dude. There was nothing, right? Like, it was barren outside of playing the game.
Yeah.
Now, like, even I imagine some people kind of watch like our stuff, and that's what they do when they're not playing as well, or they listen to the podcast, or they're
Yeah.
reading stuff. Because it's as much as it's not changed, it's still pretty private right now. Like, I think people are getting a
Yeah.
bit more bold.
Ballsy.
There's stuff popping up, right? People are tweeting. It's crazy, bro. There's always something about Deadlock every day now, even though it shouldn't be like as public as it is.
Yeah. But
So I
it
think
is
there's
there.
more, but it's there. But when we were playing, like, I remember I'd go to bed, and I'm like laying there in bed, and in my head I'm like, oh, well, what if I put Lady Geist like this?
What if I played another?
I'm just kind of scrolling through. I'm reading everything in the Discord.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to get the stuff
oh,
though, is
mate.
it? So you've got to find it
There's
yourself.
nothing.
So
There's nothing. Yeah.
I remember a night specifically where we'd called it a night. We'd finished on Deadlock, and it got to 5 a.m. And I'm rustling in my covers. I'm restless. I want to play some more Deadlock. So I creep off to the PC. I jump on. Lo and behold, guess who's fucking on Deadlock at that time? Mr. Jacky.
It was the way. I remember we both got to 3, 4 a.m. or something like that. We should probably go to bed. We'll go to bed. and then we've both gone our separate ways.
Yeah.
And of our own accord, and like an hour later, skulked back to the PC, sat down, booted up the game. I've seen you come on Steam. I'm like,
what is
you
this?
play it? You're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, bro. You jump in. We go on the NA servers. We're there till 8 a.m.
Oh, that was a bad
bed.
night. That was a bad night.
Both pretend in the morning. Oh, I just didn't get that much sleep. Actually, I'm just. Yeah, just kind of tired. Really, you haven't been up all night. Nah. Went to bed when you saw me go to bed.
I remember waking up at 11 a.m. and then we played more later. Oh, it's insane.
Just lying to the wives.
Yeah,
I didn't,
That was funny. That was real funny. But yeah, so we had those shenanigans, which is good. But now it's not so much of a big deal because you get your fixing a lot. You can get your fixing a lot more frequently now with the way that they are constantly pushing back the play times, which is nice to see. I think I can play till 4 a.m. here actually on the EU servers.
It's kind of crazy how even I was speaking to some other people, some CS people that were obviously playing like back in those initial few waves. And it's so funny to think back because obviously it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it was now because of how long we've lived in like this timeline of Deadlock, where they were saying like, oh yeah, I was playing on NA servers. I like could only play from this time to this time, so I'd have to like really stay up late to play the game or wait all day. And I was like, yeah, that was me. Like I know exactly what you mean. I remember being like, shit, man, I want to play, but I'm just gonna have to wait until like nearly fucking 2 a.m. or whatever it is, and then play for a bit, or I think it was like midnight or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when they added EU servers, it was like, damn, all right, cool. The game feels even better now. Like I can play on regular times, and it's just got more and more open. Yeah, it's crazy. It is weird to think about the Deadlock drought. But I've also seen as well, in that side of it, it's been interesting that I've seen a lot of people that are really kind of happy in a way with how it is right now, where it feels like something we've not had in a very long time, where like there isn't just public videos
moderation?
Public.
Oh, right, okay, sorry.
But like, no. Yeah, like you're forced to only play them in regular times. But I mean more in like people are saying they enjoy the fact that it's like you have to know where to look. And like everything's quite high quality. So we're making really high quality stuff because we take our time and it's fun. Like it's something you want to do. Whereas it's not like, oh shit, I'm just going to pump out a load of videos for views because that's what I'm doing. Yeah. We're doing it because it's like the game's just fun. It's like sick, man. Like I actually want to create stuff about it as much as I want to play it, you know, because that's enjoyable. And people are really enjoying that element of it where it's like it is kind of niche and no one's telling you what to think or how to play. You just have to look for it if you want that.
Yeah, if you're one of those Azuma types right now and you're playing Deadlock, first of all, welcome to an era of gaming that you've never experienced before. Gaming, But for us, it's sort of very similar to when we grew up, where it's a case of you wouldn't have all these guides on the internet. You wouldn't have what's the best build for such and such. You had to go looking. You had to go discuss with people, real people, of what was the best strategy. What can you do? So a lot of it, the exploration and like that magic of really understanding the game yourself doesn't exist that much anymore. But it does in this because you do have to go looking. Albeit there is like, I think we hit 111,000 users right now on the Discord. I don't think we're a similar capacity of players in terms of concurrent, but that is still 111,000 people all posting little tidbits here and there. It's kind of crazy.
It is, man. It's also, we can check that quick because...
Oh, this is a daily check-in.
To get into the Discord, you have to have the client, obviously, to be able to do it.
Yeah, and select it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Right? So technically there should be even more players than what's in the Discord and everything else. So it's hard to gauge it off player peak alone. But all-time player peak was 5 days ago. That was 44,512. 24-hour peak is 32,000. So only difference about 10k. That's actually not that bad, especially when you factor in that was a Sunday. So we're probably coming up to our next big set of peaks again soon because it will be the weekend, right, when people are at home and wanting to play.
You can't play during lunch hours, so yeah.
So many people that actually have access to the game, dude.
Yeah.
And also, talk about so many people, Valve shouted us out again. It happened again.
Oh, bro, yes. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Which This one was mental. So I went out
Oh, dude,
with
this
Dank and
actually
we were gonna.
happened before the. Sorry, can't
Yeah,
continue.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
forgot.
yeah.
Carry
Like
on.
we went out to see some friends, and then I got it was emails. I started getting emails that was like from the Freds, on the forum,
Yeah.
and I'm just thinking, oh, okay, some people have seen the post all of a sudden, and I'm thinking nothing of it, but they just kept coming, and we're sat there at a bar, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting so many emails. And then I opened the Discord thinking, oh, maybe I'll just have a look. Like maybe something's happened on the Discord. And again, it was dead air, community member patch note video, like
They
bam,
linked the
front and
YouTube,
center.
which was the
And they
crazy thing.
linked the YouTube and the forum post directly. So the thumbnail was there, like Damp's art was front and center, everything's there.
Yeah. What are we on now?
I got here's the crazy thing. I got my phone out, right?
Yeah.
Within 8 minutes, I saw it go up 300 subs. And
Yeah,
I was
crazy.
like, what is going on? Like, actually, what is going on? Now,
What is happening right now?
1.6 thousand people. For context, by the way, remember this, bro. 1 week ago, the last one of these these podcasts, we said thank you so much for 100 subs.
I know. It's
week
insane. Insane. So, like, when you were out, I was sat at home diligently fixing the podcast because if you kept up to date with the patch notice thread, if you didn't, that's fine. You just consume on YouTube. That's okay. I'll tell this story now. But last week we had some big technical errors. That initial first 45 minutes from episode 3, which is fantastic, by the way.
It's so
Great.
funny, and people really liked it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad we got it out.
Great banter, truly great banter. If you go just watch 45 minutes, you don't care about the patch notes, you just want some fun, go listen to that first 45 minutes, so good. But Jacky's PC crashed in the middle of recording, and it was almost unrecoverable. Jacky worked some magic though, managed to get it back. So I was there editing, but it was all out of sync. So I had to resync all the video, which was difficult at best. Hellish. Yeah. Then the video wouldn't render, so I had a bad time. But this is the thing, is that I went on the YouTube channel to upload the video once it was all finally fixed, and I saw the subscriber count, which was at 750, I believe.
Were you like, what?
I was like, what is going on?
Why?
What is this? I thought it was a bug at first. I
Right.
thought I'd been baited by YouTube, so I got all elated in my seat. I was like, oh, what the hell? 750 subscribers. And I was like, no, it's got to be a mistake. It's got to be a mistake. Then I saw the shout out. Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Right. Actually mad. Actually mad. I
Blew
couldn't
my
believe
mind.
it. No, it's so cool. So cool. Because obviously, again, it happens once, amazing. But you don't ever expect it to then happen again. So the fact that it then did happen again, it was just
cute. So cute.
What? Yeah, really, really nice. Sick, of course, as well, because at the end of the day, with the patch notice stuff and all the other stuff we've made, is basically just stuff that either shows you what's going on or is designed in a way where we just want, we want everyone that kind of like we did, when me and you were just sat there going, oh, I want to talk about Deadlock, but I can't talk to anyone about it. Yeah. Me and you would just ramble to each other about weird ideas or what's changed or what might have changed. It gives everyone a platform to talk about it. And I think the best thing is the fact that it's kind of been pushed and people have seen it, especially with the Discord going 30 times as big as it was when the first time we got shouted out by Valve was. Yeah. There's so many people that are just chatting about Deadlock and using the threads that we've made or the videos that we've made as a place to get ideas, or hey, I want to make this, does this work, or what do you think of this character, or that's a cool update, I like this. It's actually given people a place to talk about it, which is really cool. That's one of the best unexpected things about it, is just it's made a secret community. And I've seen that where people are talking about Dead Air and the channel as if it is a secret club, and it feels like that's how it's gone. It's like we've got a little tree house that's full of 1,000 people.
Yeah, dude. So before we just ramble on too long about this, we do just want to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts, right, and our stomachs, and our fates, because this has been an awesome thing. And honestly, all 1,600 of you right now, and anyone in the future that does subscribe to the channel, we appreciate that. Not only did you watch the video, you clicked the big red button, which is a step
100%.
further to express that you vibe with what we're doing here, and we just want to keep doing it. So we do have, I believe we've got a lot of things in the pipeline coming up
Yeah.
shortly. I think people are asking for the cast as well, which is really nice, and that is in the works, but probably not soon. I don't think, Jackie.
It just depends. We're working it in around like everything we're doing. We've got a whole load of stuff that's currently being like made and edited, and then it's also just me and Blanca both working. We're working on some events together soon as
Yeah.
well. But the plan is obviously we've got a whole load of stuff that's going to be coming out. Damp's currently away at Gamescom as well. Obviously, we said we sent her there just in case they announced Deadlock. She had everything ready. I think she's been doing some like Deadlocky adjacent content. She's been running around filming some stuff.
Yeah.
So Deadlock news is going to come back on Monday. You'll get another one of those. All the regular stuff and more is being cooked up. It just depends when we get it out. But you know where we post stuff. There's links now. I went ahead and put basically a link to a global playlist. So if you find one of our videos, you can now find them all. So
Which
it's
is
a
very
little bit
sick.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that would make it easier for people that like discover us and then go, oh, actually, what else did they do?
Yeah.
Because obviously we can't make it public, but this way, if you share it around to people that have the game, it's a bit easier for you.
Yeah, which is kind of what we needed, because we have received a lot of comments recently saying, "Great that you're putting this out, but where can I find the other stuff?" So there you go.
Yeah.
I believe it's either in the description or in the comments, Jackie. You have to tell me.
I think it's the top line of every video on the channel. There's like a playlist that just gets updated with everything we make.
All right, cool, perfect. There you go. So if you
Yeah.
need to find more, that's where it is. But yeah, again, big thank you. The casting stuff will come along. We want to make sure that we are fully prepared for it. We don't want to just head into a game and have a bash around. We do want to put on something that you will enjoy watching. So obviously you see a lot of the other stuff on the channel, which is super high quality. That's kind of what we want that to be like,
Yeah.
which is why it probably won't take ages, but it might take a little bit longer.
Finding a formula of how we want it to look as well, because if we're going to do that sort of stuff right now, I'd like it to look super visually pretty. I'd want to do little cinematics on stuff. It's not one of those where we just throw on like a high elo replay. We'd want to actually give you something really nice to watch and listen to, because obviously we are kind of perfectionists. Like commentary is a craft that we've been honing for like, I've been doing this since I was like 17, so it's a long time. Like I've been casting, it's been like 10, nearly 11 years.
Every game's different as well.
Yeah. Exactly, and you want to, as much as you have like a style of how you cast, and you get better with like experience and the more games you do and stuff. With Deadlock, it is another one of those where it's like super passionate for the both of us. So we'd want to make sure we're coming at you with something that we're actually really happy with and have sort of legs too. So yeah, like Blank says, there'll be stuff, but let's lay it down the line. You get good quality games, you get some good quality casts. For now, everything we want to make is super kind of like passion project-y, so it is what it is. But yeah, there you go. I think that's kind of the recap on all the bits and bobs, because there was a lot of random bits that happened in a week since the last one. There has also been a few little things that have happened to the game. We'll pull them up, because we had 2 patches.
Yeah, whip them out.
Yeah, we had 2 patches. Both of these were smaller, though. They were listed as, I think, minor patches.
Yeah, Mr. Yoshi loves that phrase.
The minor
patch.
Just
a minor patch. Yeah, just a minor patch that looks like any other game's normal patch, which is quite funny to me.
The minor patch notes. So we can go through those. Firstly, we had one that was on the 18th. So obviously that was a day after the 17th Ivy balance update, I think, right? Where
it was the one with Shiv and Ivy,
yeah. So we got that one. No, actually, was that that day before? Yeah, okay. So 17th, we had the Ivy and Shiv balance update. That's also when they gave us the shout out. And then on the 18th, late at night, so 19th for European times, we got the little update with the restorative locket. So we can pull that up. Now, we were hypothesizing about this a little bit, because a few patches previously, there were minor buffs to restorative locket. And we didn't think that much of it, but obviously commented on it at the time. But then this was the knock-on effect. So if you haven't seen it, it was a few little changes. We'll go through that bit by bit. Firstly, restorative locket, spirit resist was reduced from 10% to 8%.
Yeah, which is obviously restorative locket 1,200 item, and it was sort of creeping into the category of old Veil Walker. If you weren't around, because we have had a lot of new people going in for Veil Walker, that actually used to be in the weapon category as a 1,200 item, and you basically bought it every game. It was really good, really busted for ganking early on as well. But for restorative locket, again, it had bloat. It had bloat on it, and I think the way they'd been adjusting it, it was something that they'd looked in at passing, and then very quickly people were abusing it, especially on Shiv with the defer damage.
It's damage mitigation.
Yeah, so it was a case of like he was very unkillable with this, even just other characters like Pocket. So I'm glad that they did reduce it a little bit. I mean, obviously the cooldown went up from 24 to 28. The heal reduced from 40 to 35. And again, this was also a big one, especially for Pocket players who max superior stamina. Stamina restore chain from max stamina to 1 charge, so you could use all 6 and get another 6 out, which was pretty broken, especially for Ivies who start with an obscene amount of stamina at the beginning of the game.
So it makes sense. I mean, yeah, like thinking about it like that, actually, it does go to show why bloodletting would be so OP with that.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Spirit Resist, slightly nerfed, of course, 2% reduction on that. In terms of the cooldown as well, that's up by 4 seconds. So rather than being 24, it's now 28. Slightly less spammable. 4 seconds of difference. I know in passing, obviously, you might look at that and think that's not that long, but that actually is a pretty substantial change. 4 seconds can be definitely enough of a difference.
It's a long time. That's the length of silencer now. If you imagine how long silencer lasts, like it's quite beefy. It's quite beefy.
So that's a noticeable one. And then heal-wise, 40 per stack has been brought down by 5. So 35 being the heal per stack.
Yeah, which stacks up, Jacky. Stacks up over time. I mean,
like blocks, mate. You put them on top of each
other.
Blocks
on each other. You're talking about because per stack is a bit of a what's it called? Subtle. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's one that you don't see. You look at it on paper, yeah, it's stealth. Yeah, absolutely stealth. You look at it on paper and you think this ain't that bad. But if you think about the amount of stacks, which I believe is 16, that's off the top of my head though. So you'll have to correct me on that one if I'm wrong.
Hang on. Yeah, for some reason I feel like it was brought down slightly, but then I'm not sure if maybe it was buffed. My brain's telling me 14, but then maybe it went up to 16.
What was the
citation needed?
Citation needed. You got the 17th patch open?
Let me whip him out. Let me get him.
Might have been in that. I could be wrong though.
No changes to restorative locket here. Where was it? Because I do.
It would be in the. It would be in the big patch.
It's going to be in the big boy patch.
Yeah,
you pull it up.
Control F. Yeah, control F. The awesome little control F function. Very useful. Very useful. But yeah, like I said, it's a stealth one because those that 5 healing.
Okay. So in that big Giga patch where Shiv came in, we had restorative locket have its max stacks reduced by 5 from 20. So we were both in the middle.
We were close.
It was 15.
We were close.
It was 15. Yeah. And then the heal per stack there is where it got its initial buff up by 10. So it went from 30 to 40 in that patch.
Yeah. So it did kind of get a little bit crazy. So we're talking around about 75 HP here, I believe. Yeah, so over the 15 stacks, which if you think about most characters, like mid-game you're on about 1,000, 1,100, that is a good like 8% of your HP removed off from that heal on max stacks. And the stamina restore chain from max stamina to 1 charge, already discussed that a little bit there. Needed change, definitely needed change.
So that was everything to do with restorative locket, basically. And that's all the 18th patch did focus on. It was just a whole load of changes to it to rebalance the item. Does make sense, obviously, like you said, with Shiv coming in, the difference of, in reality, I mean, he's kind of the only hero that has an ability that works like that to actually sort of mitigate damage in such an aggressive way. So, fair enough. Then we got this one, which came out last night. So this was the 22nd as of the time of recording. So we'll start it off. First one's a bit vague. I'm going to give you that, but it just says high velocity magazine affecting some abilities. Now, I would imagine, obviously, then there is just some area where probably throwables or skill shots. I'm thinking like the Shiv dagger, maybe the sleep dagger on Hayes. You know what I mean? Those sort of throwable like projectiles getting affected by the increased travel time, basically having that reduction, because it just says affecting some abilities. But obviously, you don't want that. That's not the intention. It is just supposed to actually buff the travel time on the bullets.
Good. Sorry, big yawn there. I've been awake many hours.
He's a tired boy.
Yeah, for today. But Silence Glyph, damage reduced from 150 to 100. But yeah, sorry, I'll go over high velocity mags very quickly.
It's all right.
Bloody hell, I'm just trying to fly through it.
He's an old man. It's an old man podcast.
Yeah, I've bloody going senile here. But yeah, the high velocity mag thing, I think you're on the money. I'd say you were on the money. I've not experienced it. But that would be the thing that made the most sense, that in the sense of it's considering the bullets as projectiles, but also considering some abilities as projectiles as well, so they're going out faster, or maybe even increasing the spread of them. So maybe the ability size, which would be an interesting one. Either way, it's gone now. It's dead.
They fixed
Died.
They've figured it out. Doled that one down. But yeah, Silence Glyph is the one that then gets the most attention. Yeah, absolutely butchered, bro. You can see when you see an item in patch notes, if it's got its name listed like 6 times, it normally just means it's getting cooked.
You know, it's getting dissected. It's not good.
But buffs can be 1 line, 5 lines. You usually like.
Yeah, you're like, right, this item was busted. But yeah, damage reduced from 150 to 100. Good change. You got to imagine that you're buying Silence Glyph. I think it's the 3k option there. You buy that, you are getting a lot of damage from an item you can have around about maybe 12 minutes into the match, quite easily. Like 150 is nuts. When this item in particular sort of functions the same as Curse, where Curse received like a lot of changes as well in terms of reducing its capacity as an item that added on a lot of combat capabilities to your character, with mag size, etc. Silence Glyph, in the same vein, this is for silencing characters as a 3k option. It doesn't remove item usage like Curse does, but this is your budget option. You might just want to pick it up, and it's very good. Shouldn't have been that good though, Jacky.
No, probably not. Probably not, mate.
Because even the spirit damage scaling reduced from 1.5 to 1.0 is nuts. You saw that Shiv received a 0.2 to 0.12 reduction, and that has really dampened down his damage. Now you got to look at it in the perspective is that went from a 0.08 nerf to a 0.5 nerf. So this thing was doing a lot of damage once you got Boundless Spirit, stuff like that. Crazy, really.
No, exactly. But that's the thing. Like when you compare it a lot more to other things, it's easier to put it into perspective, especially for like a newer players as well. Having just the decimal points and the numbers on some of the things doesn't really translate. But like you say, if you compare it to other previous nerfs where we've seen how that scales, you can see where it really will take the steam out from underneath you. I mean, the range is practically just getting halved. 5 meters is the only layer of that not being taken entirely by half on the cast range, and you lose 0.1 to the sprint as well. 1 point to the sprint rather. Feels like a lot of items as well in the past couple patches. I think we were talking about this about 2 weeks ago, maybe. A lot of items were having the extra +2, +3 sprint stripped off them, which I think is okay. Like everything made you super fast.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
I think, in our podcast on the road podcast, one of our first ones, our comment was back then, buy your Nikes. Absolutely buy your Nikes. If you don't know what the Nikes are, buy the sprint boots. And it's, funnily enough, that became less and less of a problem as we added more spirit and people started building, adding more items that increased your sprint to the game and building those more frequently. So like Warpstone, for instance, which also got nerfed. It got to the point where you didn't need Nikes anymore. You go barefoot, have your socks on. You didn't need them, but now you do. Now you do. Yeah, now you do need them.
Now you need them again.
If you want to be fast, you need to buy them.
Do you know there's I read about this ages ago.
Yeah.
There was this type of kind of clip-on shoe that basically
What?
was powered by the fact that if you imagine you have your normal shoe and then you clip on
Another
these kind
shoe.
of wheels at the bottom, yeah,
Oh,
like a
yeah, yeah,
base
yeah, yeah.
plate. And as you would walk, they would power up and you would walk
What?
faster. Yeah, but you had to walk in a very specific way to do it,
That
and they were very
Heelys.
clunky and like kind of terrible. Yeah, but like they were supposed to be like a huge thing. They were like AI powered or whatever. That was like the whole buzz line. And I
Everything.
saw there was like a competitive walker who does like the Malcolm in the Middle like strut where you walk really fast.
Oh,
Who
with like
went
the
head to
hips,
head.
side to side.
Yeah, and he banged him. Absolutely cleared the guy with the AI-powered walking shoes.
Oh my
And then they were
God.
saying on the review, like, yeah, these are like £4,000. They're like super
What?
experimental tech, but also they do get stuck in little holes on the ground, and it's kind of
Let me pull
awkward to
them up.
walk.
Experimental
Walking shoes, fast walking
fast walking shoes.
shoes with rollers. Does that come up?
Let me have a little look.
Robot shoes can help you walk 3 times faster.
Oh, I see
They're
them.
designed by Austin-based Shift Robotics.
Mate, they look proper naff.
Yeah, they look terrible.
They
called
don't. They don't look like they're worth
Moonwalkers
£4,000.
X.
Moonwalkers X. Yeah, they're the Moonwalkers.
Oh, no, here you go. Sorry, $1,400 a pair.
Yeah, that seems mad. Yeah, I wouldn't want to wear those anyway.
That's like what?
I mean, Heelys were kind of cool.
$800 a shoe. Yeah, well, Heelys weren't bad. If you never got to experience the Heely hype, you
Oh, that was
had a
big.
shoe with a little rolly wheel that would click out the back, and then you'd like skate on the back of your feet. Heelys would be pog actually. Yoshi, can we have Heelys
In the game.
added? Yeah, you could call them like wheelies or something like that.
Something like
Or
that, yeah.
Rolo shoes. You know what I mean? But
Wheelie boots.
yeah, and rather than giving like a kinetic dash style jump, when you do your slide, instead of doing the slide, you
Yeah.
like lean back on your heels and go woo.
That'd be good. I'd like that.
That'd be
Maybe
fun.
you get to shoot whilst you're using the wheelies.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you don't get locked into the dash animation anymore. That could be an interesting one.
Oh, remove the dash.
Yeah.
Have a little like roll.
Little
like you
slide.
engage the roll.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, I
That's
quite
something
like
to think
that.
about.
Yeah. But yeah, so coming back to the original point, sprint boots now are your friend when it comes to going faster. So, and again, I like that because sprint boots were a cool item. They were a good item.
Yeah.
You sacrificed the vitality slot early on, so you could be faster. So the likes of Paradox really loved them, being able to play that position 4, I guess, role from like Dota, where you're able to get to a different side of the map, do a bit of damage, and then quickly return to your original position. That's what they were very useful for, and just giving so many items it kind of took that away from sprint boots, man. And why would you do that? They're just living their lives, trying to be helpful, trying to be useful, and they slashed the boots up. But they're bringing them back now. They're bringing them back.
They had thrown the shoes onto the phone lines, but they've went and got them back.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah,
which
they
is
were
nice.
dealing silence glyphs.
Bloody hell.
Unacceptable.
No, yeah, not in this neighbourhood, mate.
Yeah.
Not in this neighbourhood. Policeman Yoshi, he's put the cuffs on.
We only deal in
got the
souls
shoes
here.
down. Oh yeah, the cursed apple can't afford no silence cliffs. Lastly, on that one, then it was just Spirit Shield being reduced by 25. So that's kind of everything that changed with Silence Cliff. Now everything else is more individual tweaks. Ivy got some tweaks, a couple other items got some tweaks, and then finally Guardian's got some tweaks. So we'll go from the top here then. It's Reactive Barrier that's up next. Cooldown was increased by 10 seconds. So that's up from 20 to 30 on Reactive Barrier.
Mad item, by the way, bro. Mad item. I think that if you're good with this item, you could really stunt on some other heroes, some other players, because, again, in a lot of the low elo brackets, if you know how to use actives, you have an inherent advantage, right? But Reactive Barrier was such a low cooldown that you could just spam this thing. And it gave you freedom, it gave you a small burst forward, gave you a slight increase of speed, I believe, and, 2 pretty beefy barriers. And it got to a point where Reactive barrier wasn't very reactive anymore. It was more proactive. You would just spam it out whenever, because it was off cooldown so often. And I like, the thing I like the most about this change is like they literally took the name of the item and then saw where they'd gone wrong. They were like, this is not very reactive, is it, guys?
No.
So we talked about how 4 seconds was a meaty nerf in terms of the amount of time it takes to use it again. But going from 20 to 30, that's big. But I think that this item really required it. Again,
Yeah.
1,200 cost. Giving it this treatment is the right treatment that it requires, because mainly Wraith players that used it, and it got egregious.
Yeah, that's like entirely fair. I think again that's another reasonable change. 10 seconds, like you say, it actually makes it more of a skill-based item rather than something that's kind of always off cooldown, at least whenever you'd need it with an item of that nature. So that's pretty nice. It's pretty nice to see that it's got a little bit of attention on it.
Mm-hmm.
Return fire as well, next on the docket then. That's going to be bullet damage that has been returned. So when it bounces the bullets back at the target attacking you, that's been reduced by 10%. So it's down from 80% of the return damage to 70%.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of this change, personally.
Don't like that bad boy?
No, I thought return fire was very good. I think bullet damage returned at 80% was a reasonable spot to be in, because it punished characters who wanted to go all in on you, opened up lots of cool little builds, especially for Viscous. And I agree with the dev team that this item is too strong. But I think that the active time is more or less where the issue lies. In my opinion, again, these boys have all the data. I could be absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
But again, for Viscuses and Kelvins, they drop ult, they return fire. You're locked in there with them for so long, you can't do much. Specifically because return fire did do a lot of damage to you if you shot at them. But I think that, again, this deserves a treatment like reactive barrier, in the sense that this needs to be made more skill based, where the active time isn't as long and you pop it strategically. So, for instance, you're going up against a haze.
Yeah.
You pop you pop return fire, and you have it long enough that it's going to obliterate a character like Haze, but it's not going to be a case where it's still on after the Haze is dead and you can just walk away merrily.
No, I think that would be more on the money for how you should balance it. Because I remember as well, like even McGinnis's that would use it to counter kind of like Wraith ults, or in a position where obviously all you want to do is nuke a character when they're immobilized, or when they're in a position where like, you're an assassinate or whatever. That's where it'd be so annoying. But I remember specifically a few instances of McGinnis's that would build return fire style builds where
Metal
it was
skin.
always up. Metal skin, return fire, everything, bro. And you just, it's always
so
off
annoying.
cooldown.
Yeah.
And when you're just there, like, I can't do anything.
She's just going to push our base. We're going to have to accelerate the game.
Yeah. And also on her specifically as well, it was the fact that, especially after the newer changes, where like now if she targets you, her turrets are prioritizing you, and you can't attack her. You're getting melted by like 3 turrets and a McGinnis, and you're kind of there just thinking like,
I can't do anything.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Like it's really frustrating. So that's the only ones where I think it needs to be changed in a different way. But yeah, I guess what you were saying would make more sense to me, where like just make it so it's a situational item of like, oh, you could use it once on like an off lane split, but not every time, homie.
Yeah, if you want to invest into having metal skin, you cycle between them, you buy into soul rebirth. You've been given the opportunity to farm in that lane for a long time, and you deserve to be annoying as possible. I respect the hustle, McGinnis's. I truly do. However, even at 70%, I think return fire is still strong because of the active time. So yeah, I'm glad you agree with me on that one, because I do strongly believe in that. Again, I am going to put the caveat in there that I don't have all the data. So
of course.
Come at me.
Valve know what's up. That's what I mean. Like again, like we've said with all of these, especially now where there's so many games all the time, it's probably way easier to look at stuff.
That's busted.
Have info where you're just like, people are buying that and they're just winning infinitely more. So this needs to change because of X. Yeah, like again, we just have ideas and put them out somewhere. We don't have always all the best opinions. It's just our opinions. The only thing I was going to say with that, though, in terms of having an opinion on active items, you touched on it briefly, where you were like, if you're someone that knows how to use active items, I think that actually kind of summarizes a lot of people, where especially now, like I've even seen so many players, and we know people as well do the exact same thing, where just they won't buy an active item ever because it's an active item, and that means you actively have to use it at the right time.
Yep.
If there is one bit of advice I would say, like, just go in sandbox, use every single active item, understand how they work, find binds that are comfortable for you as well, and start using them, because it's life-changing the amount of people I've seen on the Discord that are new as well that outright refuse to buy an active item because it involves it being active, you know?
It's funny because talking about keybinds is actually quite an important one, because I think that, for players who have been messing around, mucking around in games like this before, maybe X and Z is not that difficult for you to press. Personally, I don't use either of those buttons. I use mouse 4, mouse 5, so on the side of my mouse, and I use V and C, which is way more comfortable for me in general. And I think that having active items become comfortable is good, because you don't want to get to a point where you've got V and C as an active items, but you're afraid to use X and Z. So yeah, like Jacky says, if V and C is too difficult for you as well, rebind. Find something better for yourself.
100%. Yeah, because it's like it's the same thing. It used to happen a lot in Counter-Strike, where people wouldn't individually bind nades because it felt like, oh, I'm not going to remember to press F to flash or V to throw a smoke. But like I've had, individually bound nades for years. And then luckily, of course, because that's only really 4 bits of utility, a flashbang, a smoke, a Molotov, and a HE, I just used those same binds in Deadlock. So it's all kind of transitioned over 1-to-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, just find binds that work for you and learn how to use active items. Maybe we should even make a video on that, just explaining what every active item is. Because,
what's the situation for buying them? Because again, maybe the data is skewed for return fire as well, because the amount of players that I've seen just shoot the barrier instead of just letting them go is
just
sort of obscene. It's sort of obscene. So I think for that, it's an interesting one. It's more nuanced than just, wow, this is doing a lot of damage. Well, it's doing a lot of damage for a reason. Players aren't comfortable with it, and they have not seen it too much before. Anyway, carrying on to the next one, because we have yappered on that one for quite a while, so we will now chat it, Shanice. Dying with siphon bullets, stacks will now cause you to lose 2 stacks, no matter who killed you. Good, because it used to only return 1, and only if the victim that you killed you back. This is a very important change. The amount of builds and guides I've seen littered all over the build section. Adding siphon bullets as a reasonable option now has skyrocketed. The reason is because it's very strong. You get a lot of health off the back of that, and it means you don't really have to buy too many vitality items. And there wasn't that much to punish you, especially in a game where you're rolling. You are face rolling. Imagine a game like that where you die maybe 1 time, and that's after, that's before you bought siphon bullets. You are just stacking health. And you could arguably buy 4 items in the weapon, 8 items in the weapon category after that, because that kind of takes care of everything. You just need imp bullet armor and imp spirit. So yeah, very, very interesting. I'm glad they changed this. It did need a change. It still acts as that snowball item that we were discussing last time. We were like, I like that, but no longer as crazy.
No, a reasonable change there. Like, it needed a bit of attention. I think that's fine. Again, it's why actually like this and the previous like micro mini update, minor even, there we go, were pretty nice in terms of overall general balance changes. It wasn't anything too egregious, but they kind of knew where to put things in line. If you missed it as well, of course, for some of the people that are maybe coming back in and wondering what happened with Ivy, they gave her a new ult. So she had a brand new ult. Yeah. Basically, top and bottom of it is the way it works. You can either pick up a teammate, fly them through the air, drop them as a payload. Now, this would silence, it would do a ton of damage, and it would put you into a position where basically you could instigate a fight off the back of dropping a teammate in. If you didn't want to pick up a teammate, she would generally, yeah, true, like literally throw him in. Even like I've seen people using it to actually take 7 really high up and use
Dude, that's
that as
cool.
well.
I like that.
Yeah, so there's a lot that you can do with it. It actually makes Ivy like kind of fit her very supportive style of gameplay as well. I think it's a
Yeah.
better role.
Dude, actually, speaking of that, I think we had a discussion in one of our many late night discussions that right now it really only feels like Lash is that supportive hero in terms of displacement.
Yeah.
So I like that they've added a character where it's sort of on the other side of things because Lash puts the enemies in your camp, and Ivy now puts your allies in their camp. So
Yep.
that's really gorgeous. I like that. I
No,
like that a
exactly.
lot.
I think they figured out a good solution. It's also, I think, any of those kind of what I've realized with Deadlock is the longer it goes on, it feels like you have to have 2 heroes that do a similar thing but in different ways. I know that sounds weird to explain, but it is kind of like a yin and yang of at least this way you could take
Yeah.
both of them, or one team could get one each. But
Yeah.
to have the option, you know what I mean? Of like
Oh
where they
yeah.
do similar things but in different ways, so then you can actually counter each other. And especially when we get to like ranked meta or professional
Dude.
meta really far down the line, I think that's going to have a lot of impact on how Deadlock's played.
Funnily enough, you speaking about that has reminded me that, you know, I was thinking about this the other day in terms of when we get to ranked, high elo
Yeah.
meta, genuinely believe that Lash will be such an important pick. It will be
Hmm.
unbelievable, if not banned every game, because no matter how much you nerf the guy, the ult is still one of the best
Yeah.
displacement abilities in the game to set up additional combos. No one does it quite like him. So I think we need maybe a little bit more of that or a change on it because I'm not sure how they'll tackle it, but I think you're right in terms of having Ivy there. But I don't want us to get into a situation where it's a case of every game at the top level has a Ivy and a Lash for that exact reason. I
But
don't know how
I,
things will unfold, but we'll see.
I think with that, it comes down to A, when we did these podcasts a little while ago, we were both like, I don't know if they'll really add that many more heroes. Now we've already had 2 in a short space of
Yeah,
time. If we end up getting the full roster of potential characters that were supposed to be in Neon Prime that you can still access through the console, even only, 6 more, let's say, or 5 more,
yeah,
we would have enough where technically you can have hero vetoes and bans and still have an adequate pool of heroes for everyone to make picks.
yeah.
So then I think we get more into like, maybe a captain's draft Dota style system. And it wouldn't be the same because you'd have some players that maybe excel on these 6 specific heroes. So even though the meta says you should have a Lash or a Dynamo, they would just get outright banned because maybe someone's just crazy good on whoever. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think as long as we kind of go the way it looks like we're going, I don't think that would be too much of an issue. Where I think because Deadlock is so heavily dependent on like if you are really good at movement or if you are really good at skill shots or shooting, you have different characters you can pick for that rather than
Yeah.
more the basics of a MOBA that translates from hero to hero. Feels like this game is a little bit more like some people are just sick at certain things and that's why they will be good at certain things.
Yeah, which is kind of the direction that you want to take a little bit, and I quite like that. I think your explanation is kind of good there, because what was the discussion we were having in the sense of like, I like that they brought it down to 3 because it does feel like a game where you need to specialize a little bit,
Yeah, it's when Shift came out,
eventually.
right? And we were saying like you need. I don't know if that was on the podcast or when it was, but we were saying basically like the idea that you can just pick 3 heroes rather than 4, and everyone can learn 3 heroes. Like everyone can 100% learn 3 of them that they're confident and comfortable with out of the pool of heroes. And
Yeah,
then you can play them to a really high level. And we were saying like that's the whole point. Is it feels like each update, Deadlock's getting closer and closer to being a game that is
yeah,
about being really skillful, and that skill is what will win you games in unison with teamwork. But individually, it feels like it has a lot more skill expression than other MOBAs in terms of the way you move, the way you shoot, the way you time stuff. It's definitely going that way.
yeah. Which is again where you want the game to go to. I genuinely am very hopeful for the future of Deadlock, and I think that a lot of the people I've been here,
Yeah,
I've talked to a lot of esports people. They're all chatting about. My favourite thing I heard whilst I was here, Jackie.
go on.
I heard a guy um, at the end of the line in terms of PCs go, yeah, you want to let your haze get all the last hits because she's your carry. I was like, wrong game. Wrong game.
Yeah, that's not even
Wrong game.
close, and not how the system works.
Yeah.
Like,
So that really annoyed me actually. Actually, it would have
yeah,
annoyed me in the past. It actually just made me chuckle then. I was like,
yeah, yeah,
I think I've
yeah.
changed a bit. I'm more like, haha, these guys enjoying
It
Deadlock over
feels
there.
that way. It feels that way. I'm the same, dude. I see people say stuff where it's like, that's not quite how that works. But
You're enjoying the game,
you feel
therefore.
so weird. Like, you don't want to come in and just be like, actually, wee woo, it's me, the fun police. You're wrong. That's not how it works. But you just let people learn for themselves. Obviously, we did. But like, it is funny now
Yeah.
when you see people say stuff and you're like, by the way, homie, like, if you're in lane
Yeah.
together, it's shared.
It's
Like,
shared.
you know what I mean? You ain't got to worry.
It's not a big
If anything,
deal.
actually, yeah. So yeah, that's funny. But anyway, the whole tangent for this about Ivy and why her new ult is kind of cool and all that stuff came back to the fact that they've again tweaked it. So they tweaked it a little bit in that micro patch, and I played around with it and saw what changed. Basically, they just made it so you have to have tier 3 for the drop with either a teammate or the bomb that she spawns
Yeah.
to stun in the base. So that was kind of like one of the things, and they switched up a little bit how it works and sort of timing on it a little bit. Here it got one change. So now airdrop silences the ally that's being carried until they're released. Of course, you can see why that would be so overpowered before the change, if you're thinking about it, because you could obviously just carry them around for the duration of that ult. And it's pretty long, by the way. Like, Ivy stays in the air for quite a long period of time. I can't remember how long it actually is, but it's longer than like 20 seconds, if I'm going from memory.
It's quite a while. I was watching. I was actually teaching Godspeed how to play her. In the just on the PCs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually don't know too much about her ult just yet. I'm still testing it. And I was actually showing him Devon's build, the Fat Farm Ivy, just
Yep.
maxing Kudzu Bomb, which I really enjoy. It's one of my favorite builds in the game, especially pub stomping. But he called me across and he was like, "How do I cancel the ult? How do I cancel the ult?" Because there's no longer that button anymore, which is drop down, where you like dash forward and finish the ult. I think it's just space now though. It literally just takes you out of it. But otherwise, I just went over and he was just in the air. He was like, I couldn't get out of it. He was just having to fly around.
I'm pretty sure, but I don't know if people know this. I don't know if they've taken it out.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check. But from my memory, as far as it works with movement, if you double tap control and you're in air, it uses 1 stamina to just plummet you down to the ground.
I figured that out
anyone.
way early in the game,
Yeah.
accidentally, because me and you crouch spammers in the spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was crouch spamming on the zip line, and I just oofed myself onto the floor.
So that it's still in the game then, which is good. Yeah, because like I don't play that many heroes where it's like that useful as much anymore.
Yeah.
But it is something to be aware of. There you go, mate. We'll make the guide about actives. We'll show off some advanced movement stuff. Because I don't think many people know about that. I've never really seen anyone discuss the fact you can use 1 stamina to fast drop.
Yeah, do you know why it's good though? As for some heroes. So for instance, I give you an example right off the top of my head in the sense of Pocket pre-Majestic Leap. You can come off the zip line, glide using Barrage into his ult, right? But you ult just before you double tap control, so you plummet to the ground on top of them, and then as you hit the ground, the ult pops. Yeah, it's very, very interesting stuff there. So you can do it with a lot of characters. Even 7, you get stuck in the air up high, you can plummet back down again using double control.
Quickly get yourself down.
Yeah. Really, really cool little things like that I don't think a lot of people have been put onto. I'm glad
100%.
you brought it up. I'm glad you brought it up.
Because obviously I realised that we've never discussed it, because I think both of us found out. But again, like there's a lot of stuff that we've found over the months of playing that people don't really talk about. Yeah, we'll go into more detail on some of this. There's a whole load of like weird stuff that we've picked up in terms of knowledge. But all right, if you didn't know that, you watching at home,
I am just ordering food. Sorry.
No, that's all right, bro. It's fine. We always do long podcasts. You're allowed to eat.
He's forced me on the podcast. No food.
I know. He's finished work. To be fair, it's quite cute. It's like what we did that day when we got home. I think it was like the longest day of broadcast we did as well. Where we were doing like extra content, interviews, everything. We rushed back to the hotel, set up the ironing board, and did the first one of these. So it is quite cute. It's
it's nice
happened again.
going back to the basics.
It's been pretty calm for me. I'm going to be honest. Casting Blast's been super sick. I'm doing like 1-2 best of threes a day. The quality of CS is good. It's pretty calm, dude. I'm having a great time. So.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm so happy for you, bro. That sounds great.
Thank you, man.
I'm in my hotel room with my laptop that, by the way, wouldn't turn on.
Wouldn't turn on.
No, I don't know how to tell you about this. So my laptop killed itself on the day I got here. I opened it up to have a little deadlock, and the monitor just wouldn't turn on. So I was stressing out mega. But the annoying thing was that the logo would come up, and then like the whooshing noise
so
from
it's
the
like
logo.
not getting into Windows. It's like
Yeah.
crashing.
Yeah, so Windows broke. So I went to EFG. I said, guys, do you have anyone that could maybe fix?
Can you have a help?
Yeah, have a help. And they were like, yeah, we'll get someone out tomorrow. You bring it in. At this point, I've been spamming on the laptop. I came back upstairs. I turned the laptop on. It's worked. This is at like 3 a.m. after I've done all the work and prep on the PCs downstairs, and it was so annoying for me that it just decided that it want to work now. So we were lucky. We were lucky that I'm here. I was able to sort this laptop out.
It probably did just overheat and then like get stuck in a boot loop or something. Or I don't know, dude. Sometimes like I've had it before with laptops or PCs, even going to LAN with teammates in the past, where you just have to tell them like unplug it all, turn it off, let it chill out for like 2-3 hours.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Plug it back in, and then for some reason it works. I don't know if it's to do with like electrostatic or whatever it is, or little gremlins, and they get bored and they leave. But sometimes you just leave it off for a bit. It fixes itself.
Oh, it's quite nice actually. I'm a bit sleepy.
Yeah. It's like you go on.
I think that what happened. One sec. Oh, I've got a phone call. Give me a second.
You've got a phone call? He's being rung by the hotel. Excuse me, sir. Are you talking about Deadlock? It's Gabe Newell on the blower. Furious. He's been rumbled and they've sent the Valve secret police round to deal with him. You know he's probably doing the phone voice right now as well. Oh, sorry. My bad. Classic. It's fine. We'll just do a transition. We'll come back when Blank's back. Yeah, I did like a hand motion, so I'll do another hand motion. And we're back. Blank's back.
That was quick. Yeah, fast. Yeah, sorry about that. Like I said, I was ordering some food. They weren't happy with the order I put in, so I had to change it a little bit.
You off. We were thinking maybe you'd been rumbled by either the hotel staff have heard you talking about Deadlock, or they were just like, why is this guy so fucking loud? Exactly. That's what I said. Gabe on the blower, you know.
He's like, oh, you've been talking. I'm right at the end of the hall. So I was actually worried it was that I'd been too loud. And then someone was coming around, dragging me down the lifts, throw me out into the streets.
Yeah, that's it, mate. You'd have been done. Kicked out. Been a nightmare.
What would I have done? I wouldn't be able to play Deadlock. That would have been worse.
No, I would have broke your laptop again.
Again, just snap it up. Stop it!
Have that. That's what you get, sunshine. You're thrown off into the streets.
Where were we anyway?
We just spoke about Ivy not being able to have you cast abilities while she's being carried. So effectively what I'm saying is you are now silenced when Ivy is carrying you on Ivy Airways.
I like that sparked like a literal monster conversation of ranked and meta. Yeah,
we went off all because of Ivy.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like that.
Yeah, that was cool. So that's what's changed there. Fair play. Makes sense why. Shiv bloodletting incoming damage deferred has been reduced from 40% to 35%. So 5% difference
Yeah.
on his bloodletting incoming damage deferred reduction.
I think that we've talked about this extensively already in previous Dead Airs. But what I will say is that we'll just go over it really quickly is that the damage deferred was kind of strong. And it got to the point where you couldn't really take him out in lane because he was constantly deferring that damage. There was a lot of times where you would get him so low you felt like you could kill him. You would heal all that damage back and could go for pretty heavy dives to the point where, because he defers that damage, he can stay in the fight a lot longer than you. A lot of those fights are won just by the time game as well.
Oh, mate, I remember especially like launch Shiv before we got that big old list of changes that came in following it. He like just felt like he couldn't die. Literally just felt like you could not die, and then you would just throw your knives, and it'd be like, right, well, I'm gonna go kill that guy right now. You know, when you're there with like 5, it was crazy. I remember bullying a Kelvin in lane so hard, so funny. Like, he couldn't handle it, just couldn't handle the knives to the face. It'd get you down to 1 HP, and you're like, oh, you're going to dive me on the tower? Bam, you're dead.
I've healed. Like, you've done less damage than you expected to. So it's quite good.
Right click to the face.
That is still awesome. I still love it.
So good.
I've been So it was funny, on those games where I was pub stomping, technically I smurfed. Please don't tell Papa Gabe. I was forced into it. I was coerced into it. They wouldn't let me leave. I would never do it again. I'm there as a coach only now. But I was tempted to play Shiv. I didn't play Shiv, Gabe, because I thought it would be too mean.
Too aggro, playing the Shiv.
Yeah, so I played Yamato, which I thought was somewhat counterable. I was wrong. Very wrong. So wrong.
No. People can't handle the Yamato at times, mate.
No.
Especially newer players. I think it does just freak them out.
I got the refresher, freaked them out even more. They were like, what? He's ulted again?
What's going on? He's double ulted. Oh, mate, you terror. You terror.
Yeah, I know, I'm mean. I'm sorry.
Awful.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah,
so
that's rough.
Next one was fixed shotgun heroes applying build-up effects like toxic bullets instantly on ricocheted enemies. Now, some geezer out there, I'm sure, has figured this out because there's no way that an interaction like that comes along naturally, consistently. No. Someone's been like, you buy toxic bullets, then you buy ricochet, specifically on a shotgun character, and it goes crazy. So I'm glad that got changed. There is a lot of these changes.
Yeah. It's interesting because these are very specific use cases where Valve have clearly figured out something is interacting unintentionally. Because that, like, you read that and then you're thinking, okay, well, yeah, I mean, if we take into effect, like, Abrams' gun is a revolver, but it works like a shotgun, right? Like, it fires out a scatter of, I think, maybe 5 to 6 bullets.
It's 8 bullets total.
There you go, 8 bullets.
I'm such a geek, dude. Why do I know that?
I couldn't remember. I knew it was quite a lot, but it's the same, obviously, fine. Then
I
probably
feel
with
bad.
Pocket as
I
well.
have to be normal.
Also the 6 barrels.
Yeah.
And I imagine those are what you're classing as shotguns. Anything that scatter shots, multiple projectiles. But obviously, with those heroes, especially Abrams, like when he got his huge list of changes back in maybe June now at this point, when he got that whole list of buffs, we found out that obviously it's applying damage per bullet, per stack, rather than bullet being the overall one shot of the gun. Each individual bullet is a bullet. So yeah, I would imagine it's probably like ridiculously goes hard when you have that, them working with splash damage effects, ricochet, and also putting a dot on someone. Yeah. That's mad. But anyway, don't have to worry about it. It's been fixed.
It has been fixed. I'm worried I'm wrong now because I'm trying to think whether if it was plus 6 weapon damage per bullet or if it was plus 8. I believe it was plus 6.
On Abrams?
On Abrams. Yeah.
Hang on.
Pull it up. Yeah, pull it up.
Right, hang on. I need to shoot a ledge that's far enough away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it's an 8.
And then on his tier
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, it's
8. Okay, good. Success. Now I believe it's plus 6 per bullet on I believe it's tier 3 of his 2. Am I correct?
Plus 5.5 weapon damage for 8 seconds.
I was close, but not accurate. I've got to get these known. I've got to get these known. So we're talking about
get those down, mate.
Yeah,
about get it down for our cast.
This is what I'm saying. We've got to get it down for the cast. So plus 5.5. So I'm not going to do that kind of maths on it, but 6 for 8 is 48. I believe. Yeah. So 48 roundabouts.
Factor in the percentage, right? That's the crazy thing. Is obviously it's not just 5.5.
Yeah.
It's 5.5 times 8.
And that's weapon damage, which is a lot.
Which then goes crazy. Like, that's ridiculous. Them numbers be large.
Yeah, big boys. So that was an interesting one. Glad that's changed now. We did a little bit of deadlock quiz. If you joined along, you got it all right. Live done testing. Well done you.
If you got it wrong, unfortunate.
Watch the vids. They're coming out soon. Parrying a Guardian now causes to stop trying to repeatedly melee and get parried over and over. Instead, causes the boss to start shooting shortly thereafter. Interesting they call it a boss. But this is a very specific change made for more of the high elo games. If you ever saw some fellow in your match walk up to the Guardian and start parrying and being like, why are you doing that? It doesn't actually stun the Guardian anymore. It's still acted as a stun. You were essentially stun locking the Guardian into an animation where it wouldn't be attacking any of the troopers. So this is technically another buff to Guardians. Very niche buff where it wouldn't come through too often, but they are just making it so there is less and less cases where you can take a Guardian down really early in the game.
Yeah, it's a bug fix to a previous change that now actually works the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, because that's a cheese. That's definitely a cheese.
And you had people that were still just going, no, you can still just parry him, still stun them, because obviously before you could physically stun them, but then they removed that. But like you say, the animation would kind of bug into it where it didn't know what to do. I guess it would like freak out the AI. But now obviously it makes way more sense that yes, it will just shoot as quick as it can following it being parried, which is probably for the best. And also if you are someone out there that doesn't know at all about that and has just read that in the notes for the first time, depending on when you started playing, you can parry them. I suppose that's one of the biggest things about Deadlock compared to maybe other MOBAs. If you've got players that are coming over from a MOBA rather than an FPS or something, towers in those games, obviously like from playing Dota a lot in the past, it's a stationary object, whereas in Deadlock, the towers are effectively NPCs. You know, it's kind of like it is a big troop, which I guess is why they're saying boss here, because it isn't. You know what I mean? It isn't a stationary thing you just destroy. It fights back in a literal sense of actually being an NPC, because obviously you can use abilities on them as well. I don't think you can use abilities and stuff in like League or Dota on towers. I don't think that's like a thing.
You'd have to fact check me on that. I know a lot about Deadlock.
Citation needed. That's what I mean. Like I played a lot of Dota, but it's all like ability draft and tower defense mods. So
I can remember hitting mystic shots on Ezreal on the tower, maybe. But again, it's been a long time since I played League.
Can you use abilities on towers, Dota 2? Most abilities don't do anything, but there are some exceptions without real logic to it.
Oh, there you go. So kind of similar approach, but just on a larger scale here for Deadlock, which is cool. Again, what I will say is that if you didn't know about this before, this is still a good idea to do, because getting that parry off on the Guardian does save you some time where the Guardian is still not attacking your troopers, but it's less of a thing where you can cheese the Guardian into doing nothing and taking it down that way. You typically would need 2 members for this to work though. Again, I don't need to go into the details because it's fixed now, but you take one person to parry the Guardian, and then the other with probably a faster firing mag like an Ivy would be the one taking the Guardian down. So for instance, this is still now a useful tactic for you in your games and can be used solo. You walk up to the Guardian, you parry it. That is valuable time while your troopers are still attacking the tower, attacking the Guardian. Sorry. So very, very useful little bit of tech that you can utilize in your games.
There you go. Now you know. Factor that in, because obviously there's a few misconceptions with Guardians and what you can do around them with parrying and stuff that I've seen recently. So that's a good one to have jotted down. But that's it for both of the little updates. Now you've got clued in with those. If you were waiting for Dead Air to go over them, or you just didn't really fancy reading the patch notes, now you know what's happening with that.
Yeah, we got you
all
covered.
in all, again, I think that's pretty reasonable. There was nothing egregious in there. I mean, Return Fire is the only one that we're thinking maybe could have been done a bit differently. Everything else seems pretty cool. Seems like Valve are figuring out some weird stuff as well in terms of like how certain abilities are interacting. So that's pretty good for my money. The only other thing I was really going to suggest we have a quick look at today before we start to wrap things up. I was having a little bit of a play around. Now, because obviously you've got... How many heroes have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
26,
6, 7,
I think.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 heroes that are currently accessible through the console. I know I threw you off there.
Oh, you did, yeah.
I
thought it was another flashcard moment, sorry.
Because obviously we were talking about how... food arrived.
Yeah, food's here.
Go grab it. Because obviously we were talking about how Valve went from kind of having the same hero pool to adding in 2 heroes in a pretty short space of time to now where I'm thinking out of the heroes that exist through the console, much like Viscus did, and also Shiv did as well, where Viscus just had his ult changed. Funnily enough, actually, I think Viscus had his ult changed, Shiv had his ult changed, and Shiv had his 2 changed. I think Viscus also had his 1 changed. But other than that, they were just added straight in from what we could access, obviously, in the console before their official addition to the game. So I was kind of wondering out of the heroes we have that you can currently pull up, who else might go in? And if you've not mucked around with them, there is a few interesting ones that are in there whilst Blank pays for his food and gets that covered, gets himself sorted out. We'll give him a sec to make it back over. Hello, mate.
Hello, I've returned.
Grabbed your bits, yeah, that's all good.
I did, yeah. I had a little pay.
No, yeah, I heard the little beep. Well done.
Did it? Oh, dear me.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, obviously, out of the heroes that are accessible through the console, right?
Yeah.
These are the ones that we can still access that aren't in yet. And for Shiv and Viscus, it was 1 or 2 ability changes and an ult change, and then they were added in, and boom, like they work in the same way. So in Deadlock right now, you're a playable character called Bomber. Now, his kit in terms of what you can do... Bomber, not Bolo from Mighty Boosh. Yeah.
Use me monkey strength. Use your monkey strength.
He's basically got nothing. Literally nothing in terms of what he does. Outside of the fact he can stick a bomb to himself and use that to, like, rocket jump. That's the only ability that basically works.
That's pretty cool.
They were just testing an idea there. I think that's all that was, is they were testing an idea. The next one is interesting. It's a hero called Cadence. Now, I'm pretty sure... Turn my volume on for a sec. I'm pretty sure her ult is the turret music from Portal. Hang on.
Oh, it's actually...
Yeah, it is. Okay, so... No. Have you ever heard the turret song? In Portal 2, all the turrets sing like an opera.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, but her ult is called Crescendo. Obviously, that's like, the big finish of a musical number, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's basically, I think it applies in an area around her because it gives like an AoE when she casts it. But she sings a little bit of the Portal turret song, and that would reduce her bullet damage. It would increase damage and also increase debuff durations to anyone that's near her. Everything she has is basically based on like singing and teleporting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of her abilities use Portal 2 turret music, apart from her 1. There's like a weird... people hypothesize that it's a Neon Prime leftover song that wasn't used, but it's like a weird bit of song. But she's kind of cool. I don't really know how she's going to translate if she was put into the game. There's a few others that are like that. Some of them are way more finished, some of them aren't. So I was basically looking at this in the sense of, based off of what we have here, who we think is going to come into the game next. And I would say from messing around with all of them, I think it's most likely that we get changes made to Calico. She used to be known as Nano.
Yep.
Effectively, the way she works is she like puts down these cat towers that shoot laser
Super
beams.
cool.
Yeah, and she has like a black cat on her shoulder. It's like the model's cool. The way she works is kind of cool. It's all really interesting. I think her and Holiday, who Holiday we spoke about a lot. Like she's really interesting. I think like for me, she's one of the ones that seems like she has a lot more to her in terms of being pretty finished, but a cool gameplay idea where she throws out these barrels.
Yeah.
Her in-game name is Astro, but basically the way it works is she has a lasso that she can put over you, drags you around, and then she puts down barrels, and she also puts down bounce pads, which is it's hilarious to think about as well, because obviously the bounce pad model that she had is the bounce pad model we now just have in the game.
Yeah.
So it was from her kit, and then they went ahead and used it. Yeah, and she gets launched through the air and then blows up. But I'm pretty sure, dude, her animations look like they've changed since the last time I've played her, and there's a bit more to it. So I feel like she's getting secretly polished.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's sick. Like her whole thing is basically she's like Techies from Dota in the way that she's just this really annoying character that uses bombs and mobility to screw you over. And I think she would be dope. But yeah, overall, it was just a quick look at what's to come. We can go into these in more detail in another episode one day because I did actually have a little surprise for people at some point that will queue up. Obviously, Lamorite, who's contributed a lot to like random bits that we spoke about or gone into, or just in general to the Deadlock community, right? That guy's put like so much out.
He's gold. He's gold. Yeah.
He wants to come on. We've been chatting. He's like super keen to do a
Oh,
little
that's
guest
so
spot.
cute. Yeah.
And we discussed some of the stuff he wants to go from. We've got a whole load of ideas for Neon Prime stuff, upcoming stuff, modding stuff. So just as a little like pre-announcement, we're going to do another guest episode, and we're going to try and get Lamorite on. I think that'd be sick. I said to him that obviously once you're back, we should arrange that, because I think it'd be cool to just hypothesize on like what's to come.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen a lot of this stuff, and I was digging around in the console from like day one. But I don't know how many people outside of that know the source console as well, or dig into this stuff.
Yeah, if you're not in the Deadlock modding community, you don't really get to see a lot of this stuff, but the amount of work that goes on in there, like there is some absolutely bright minds in that community that do some stuff that I don't even understand. However, they do show off some very cool things over on that side. I've had a pleasure of being able to look at a few of them. I'm sure there's lots of things I haven't seen, so I'm really actually very excited for Lamorite to come on the show. He can show me how to change my skin on Mr. 7, hopefully, or be a blue bop, which would be awesome. I think that's my favourite thing to happen. So maybe we can get Twilight out to be blue bop in game. That would be cool. I'd like that. But yeah, awesome. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. That's a nice little surprise.
I thought you'd like that one. Yeah, I was hooking that up. So I thought this would be a cool way to kind of tease that. So that's something we're going to do. I don't know if that'll be next week's episode or whenever it is. Maybe we just do it as a little in the middle of the week extra dead air special, a shorter episode where we just discuss stuff with
that would be
and
sweet.
go over what's coming up. So that's something for the future, guys, to be excited about. Again, though, for the present, I think key notes to hit on the end of this one. Just thanks so much for everyone that's new again. We've gone up 100% from last time. Actually, 1,000%, really, isn't it, or whatever the equivalent would be?
It's
100
crazy.
subs.
Stonks
Now we're
are
at nearly
large.
2,000. It's mad. So just thank you all. Thanks again to Valve as well, of course, for sharing our stuff to the community and giving everyone an opportunity to see the stuff that we've been making, Blank.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm glad they do share the patch note stuff, because more than anything, it is helpful, it is useful for the more visually orientated people amongst us, like myself. So that's nice. But yeah, it's been really cool, and I think that as much as we thank Valve, I think that it's very important that we talk to you behind the computer screen, or wherever else you're watching. That we thank you guys, because without you, there's no one to click on the video, there's no one to watch the video, and we're glad that you are just as big geeks as we are about Deadlock, and you also enjoy this type of content. But yeah, more to come shortly, soon, when I'm back from Saudi. Hopefully, Jacky's already been cooking up some special recipes in the kitchen. You can tell I'm hungry, I'm talking about food again.
Have they just released an update now?
There's no way.
Hang on. We're lifting the rules for public conversation to allow things like streaming, community websites, and discussion.
Yo!
We can talk about the game.
We can talk about the game.
It's just happened. Okay, all right, there you go, everyone. Deadlock is now publicly talk aboutable.
Yo.
Hey.
Wait, do you want a tweet? Let's do a tweet.
Okay,
bro,
right, guys.
We can make the YouTube. We can make the YouTube open.
We're going public, guys.
We're going public right now.
We're going public. You saw it here on air. Deadlock exists, everyone. We'll see you in next week's episode of Dead Air. God damn, what the fuck?